Hello, and welcome to our Magnet Pool, where we dive into Miami-Dade's most innovative and creative magnet programs that truly makes Miami-Dade County Public Schools your best choice in education. I'm your host, Dr. Magda Castro Pereira, Administrative Director in the Office of School Choice and Parental Options. And I'm joined today with my colleague, Jackie Basayo. A few weeks ago, we had an episode where we talked about the amazing opportunities that our parents have throughout Miami-Dade County Public Schools, ranging from birth into careers. And today, Jackie and I will continue that conversation and really dive into all of the current available educational options that our parents have, as well as really drilling into our open seats magnet applications, where Jackie and I really support our parents throughout this cycle. So Jackie, I mean, it's great to have us again.
Yes.
I mean, we do this often and support parents. And right now we have our current open seat magnet application. And yes, our parents have heard about this, but it might be a little different.
Yeah.
So why don't we start that conversation to bring some
sure.
light and transparency for our parents?
For sure. And I think, obviously we've been, we have this magnet poll that we started back in January. So every week we bring back our schools and we really dive into what makes them great. But I think then there's still confusion in the community about how they even access these programs.
Right.
So definitely, I think it's great that we can continue the conversation to talk about obviously all the options, but specifically our magnet options that are available now through this open seats window.
Right. And what does that mean? Because open seats is new, right? We used to call it off cycle, but now we're rebranding it to open seats, I think district wide. So what does that mean?
Right. And I think the intentionality when we were, boarding the names, right? We were trying to come up with different ideas for how to call it. Open seats just felt like it provided clarity that the programs that are available on this application are those that do have open seats. So every episode we reiterate at the end when we're closing off that our magnet programs require application for admission, and that opens annually from October 1st through January 15th for that upcoming school year. And so where we're at now and the window that we're at now is, like Magda, like you were saying, this open seats magnet application window. And like I mentioned, it really is opportunities to apply to programs that have open seats. And that could be programs that did not fill their seats, or new programs that we're launching that have never been on the application before. And now families do get that opportunity to apply for our programs.
So now the parents can apply to our open seat magnet application. And I think something that we need to start talking about to bring some transparency to our parents is what programs, right? Because not all the programs are available. So in like you said, in our first application window, we have all applications that are open. We do a random selection. The parents receive their information, whether they were offered a seat or not, or waitlisted. And then now we have open seats. So what really transpires is that the schools depend on whether they have seat availability or not for a specific program, and then they request from us to open up that specific program on the open seat magnet application.
Right. And I think what we have to clarify is that, for instance, let's say you're at a high school and you might have seats available for 9th grade, but maybe your 10th grade program is capped, right? We don't have any seats available. So some of the phone calls that we have been getting from families in the office really have been like, wait, I'm really interested in this school, but I don't see it listed. And they told me that they did have availability. And it was probably because they didn't provide clarity on that applying grade level. So really, when we're talking open seats, it's not just because the school may have open seats that all grade levels are available, but it really is truly specific to those grade levels. So I just kind of wanted to highlight that for those that are listening or viewing, just to get that clarity on what seats are truly available on this application.
You might not see it if you're applying to a grade that doesn't have seat availability for that specific program. So now let's get into like the nuts and bolts, right? So parents, for those that are listening and those that are viewing, how can they access this application? Is it different from our prior open regular cycle application, or is it the same?
Right. And a couple years ago, we did have a different application, but we did launch our application solely online as of maybe 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And so that process looks like families accessing the Miami-Dade County Public Schools portal. And that's accessible via our website at dadeschools.net. And some of the questions that we do receive are, wait, but I'm not currently a Miami-Dade County Public Schools family. Why do I have to go through your portal? And everything is just streamlined through that entry point. So whether families are an MDCPS family or not, they are logging in using a Google or Apple ID. So it's not like they're creating an account specific to Dade Schools. They're using their own Google or Apple ID credentials to get into that portal, which will guide them into that application system.
Right. And as we've mentioned before, because I know that you and I have talked about this before here in our Magnet pool, is that was our superintendent's vision, right? Is to provide transparency and clarity and have a one-stop shop to apply for any educational option or choice option for our parents through the same parent portal through dadeschools.net. So I think we've done an amazing job. We have so many programs that are there readily available for our parents and listeners to actually apply. Presently, right now, let's go through the programs that are active right now, because that's what we said this conversation was going to be, and bring some clarity. So right, just because we're biased, we're going to go with open seat magnet applications. So those are all of the programs, as you have mentioned, that are grade available, with seats available for our magnet programs in all of our 11 themes. We do have our VPK open seat application. And we do have seats available for VPK programs. So if you're interested, would love for you guys to go and research those educational options and apply. We have George T. Baker for those students in high school that would like to get that educational experience as well. Do we have any others?
We have Choice.
Choice, always Choice. Choice, we are the third largest school district and a Choice district. So Choice is available for all of our parents who have not applied for other educational options and would like to select not their neighborhood school, but another option available throughout our district.
Right. And then I know previously we had Schools for Advanced Study on there, but I'm not sure if they have their application open.
They've closed.
Okay.
You're right. So as parents log into this one-stop shop online application, if that specific program is not available, you will not see the application tile for the parents to select. Right. You can only see what's open at that given time.
And the same would go for grade specific. So if my child is 6 years old, that VPK application that you mentioned is definitely not coming up on that parent dashboard. I think now that you kind of talked about the different options that are available to apply, I think it would be worth clarifying for families, because there's families that have put in a choice application, right, where they can rank up to 3 schools that they're choosing to access. But they may have also filled out a Magnet Open Seats application. And I may have accepted a seat at a choice program, but now Magnet comes up. And I think, they're just to provide some clarity, I think, on what happens if I accept one seat, what happens to the other one, because the reality is that it's one student record and a student can't access more than one school
Exactly.
at a time.
And it's funny that you say that, because I just had spoke to a parent today and guided them through the same process. And you're absolutely right. Obviously, the student can only be in one educational program for next school year. So the system knows that your final choice is your final choice. However, let's say, hypothetically, that a parent did accept a seat for a magnet program, and now has been waitlisted, let's say, in 2 programs. And now, because of the declines of that program, the child is offered, right, from the waitlist, a seat. At that given point, that parent can accept that seat, and it will reject the previously accepted seat. And that's something that's very confusing to parents. And I think it's great that we're bringing this to light, right? Is that if you're waitlisted, your waitlist does not get impacted by the fact that you accept it.
Placement,
right. I think that the difficult situation for the parents to understand is that when you have more than one offer, right? Yeah. That's where the automatic decline comes into play, right? So for example, if a parent applied for a choice program and also applied for open seat magnet application and might have received 2 offers at a given time, whichever one they accept, the other one will be declined. right? But the wait lists programs don't get, impacted by the fact that the parent has accepted a seat.
Right. And I think, and that's across programs too. So I just got a question about that from one of the moms at my son's school, that she got an offer through choice for an elementary school, but she's still on the wait list for a magnet program. So her question to me was, if I accept my choice, is that going to remove me from the wait list? And I told her the answer is no. You remain on the wait list across programs wherever you are waitlisted. And accepting an offer does not remove you from the wait list. However, if you do come off that wait list and you accept that placement, then you will reject any other offer that you may have accepted or that you were given at that same time. Another thing that I wanted to clarify with regards to accepting the seats, and something that when we talk about magnets and our offerings and how many choices we have different types of magnet programs, right? We have magnet schools that are full magnet that you can only access if you're a magnet.
Correct.
And then we have magnet programs that are school-wide. And that means everybody in that school is accessing that magnet program, whether they're a boundary or they're coming in through the magnet application. And then we have magnet programs that are programs within a school, that you have traditional students coming from traditional boundaries, and then you have kids that are accessing this magnet program. So what has come up, and why I want to mention it, and I think it's worth mentioning for families to really pay close attention when they're receiving these offers, we have families that may have applied through choice to school A as a traditional student, and they applied to school A's magnet program. And so a couple situations that we've had now is that the parent received a magnet offer. They accepted it right away, and all of a sudden they receive a choice offer for that same school. And in that confusion where they say, wait a second, I thought I had already accepted my seat at school A, let me go ahead and accept. Now they've declined magnet. And now they're going to that school as a traditional choice student.
And you're absolutely correct. And if they accept the choice and it declines the magnet, then they're not a magnet student, especially in those specific schools that it's a program within a school, because in order to be in that magnet program, everyone has to apply.
Yeah.
Right. 100% of
So I wanted to make sure that we brought that up so that families are paying close attention when they're receiving that offer. The school name is going to be the same. It's going to say you've been offered a seat at school A, but it's really paying attention to what comes after. At school A magnet program, whatever that might be, versus school A as a choice.
And I also want to say that our office is available, right? Our office staff is available to answer and support all parents. So in the event that they don't know what to select,
call us.
That's our job. That's what we do. We support parents and we guide them. Something that I also wanted to bring up, because it comes more often than not, is a question that is sent to us either through social media outlets or just calling our office, is the open seat magnet application available to everybody, all students, all age levels, all grade levels. And I know we talked a little bit about that specifically with grade levels, but it's important for parents to pay attention that if you don't see it, it's because it's not available for the age or grade level of your child. It's not that the program is not there. It might be open for one grade level and not the other. Like we mentioned before, but if they have any concerns, they can reach out to the schools, right? The magnet lead teachers at every one of those schools is a great contact at the school, but they can also reach out to us in our office, and we can guide them and kind of let them know what's available and what grade levels are open for those specific
Absolutely.
programs.
And I think, like you mentioned, really having that contact with the schools, our magnet lead teachers at every one of our magnet schools really will be able to provide you guidance on, is that grade level open? Or they might say, you know what, it's not currently open, but give us a week because I already foresee that we're going to have space available. And at that in that moment, then before the parent begins an application, it's a good time to just kind of gauge, is it available or is it going to be available, so I can wait until it does become available to apply for.
Let's talk a little bit about wait lists, because wait lists is really a topic of conversation and a concern for many, many parents. We are bound by School Board Policy 2370, which states that if students are on the wait list, that wait list can continue to move through December 31st. So yes, I mean, it happened to my daughter. I think I've said it before in Magnet Pool. It can happen to another student where you could start a school year at one school where you have accepted a seat and an offer to. But then, several months or weeks down the line, you might be getting another offer, because at that point is when that wait list actually moved to be able to offer your child or that student an offer.
Right.
So I want to talk a little bit about that, because I don't want the parents to feel that, there's no hope for this school.
For sure.
There's always hope.
For sure. And I got that question too recently about until when can I apply for open seats, right? And it was a family that was very eager for a school, but that grade level currently wasn't available. And my advice was contact the school, because the same way that they have openings in 11th grade, they may have it for 10th or whatever that might be. But our open seats magnet does stay open, right? Because those seats are available. And obviously, if they're available, we want families to access them at that point. And with choice is open year round.
Year round.
Right.
Annually.
Yeah.
For all grade levels, right? I do want to mention that the choice applications are reviewed by our regional offices. We are the third largest school district. We are divided into 3 different regions: the South, the Central, and the North. And depending on your neighborhood school or your current school where you are residing right now, if you put in a choice application, your application gets submitted to the regional office, at which point the region office staff is the one that reviews seat availability in that specific program or school.
Yeah.
And the parents can apply for up to 3, right? You select your primary and 2 alternates, and, you will receive an offer. Yeah. Right. Just parents need to be mindful that they're going to receive notifications. Let's talk about that, because that always is important. Parents are going to receive notifications from our system that says, hey, you've been offered this seat. But there's actions that have to be taken on the parent side, right? I don't know if you want to elaborate a little bit on that, because I know that comes over and over again in our office.
Yeah. And I think we have to start from the beginning when we talked about accessing the application, right? Using your Google or Apple ID. Some families are like, I don't have one, I'm just going to create one for this, and then they forget about it. And it tends to happen more when we're in that regular magnet application cycle, because families will apply on October 1st. Notifications come out in March, so by then they may have forgotten what email they used, but that's the email that we're using for communication. So even if within the application they put in their work email, if that's not the one tied to their Google or Apple ID, that's not where they're getting the notifications from the system. Right. So, being conscious of what you're using to log in to access the application and apply, because that's how you're getting the communication from our system, both via email and text message. Those
if the parents select both options, what we recommend is that they select both options. Absolutely. So that at least if you get it a text, then it kind of prompts you to go into your email.
Exactly. So the system is set up so that anytime that there's any change to that student's application, so from the moment that you submit it, you receive a confirmation email, we've received it, to the moment that you get an offer, it'll tell you, guess what? Something has changed in the application. If it's a text message, log into that dashboard, or the email may specifically say, congratulations, we're offering you a seat here. And in that notification, there is a deadline for acceptance.
And that's important.
Yes.
Let's talk about the deadlines, the expiration dates.
Yes. So families are given expirations, because obviously we have other families that are looking for a seat as well. And it can't be this indefinite timeline, because we have to be able to offer placement.
Right. And those are the students that are sitting in wait lists, right?
Exactly.
So there is an expiration date, and the parents are provided 10 business days to either accept or reject decline the seat or decline the seat. And then that way the wait list can continue to move.
Absolutely. And I know sometimes families may receive it and they're like, okay, I can get to it, right? Because life happens.
But we're human and we forget.
Yes, but our advice really is, if this is a school that you know that you want, as soon as you get that offer, log in and accept it. Because what tends to happen is that families may wait till the last minute, and the offers expire at 12 a.m. midnight. So whatever your date might be, and the email is going to tell you, it expires on this day at 12 a.m. Families think that they have the full day until 11:59, and they don't. It really expires right when that clock,
on the onset of that day at 12 a.m.
And so once it expires, you decline the offer.
Right. And we want to make sure that the parents are fully aware that that there is no changing. Like, this is a random selection, and the system automatically declines that seat if the parent did not either accept or decline the offer, right?
Yeah.
And then automatically moves the
next student
in and offers that parent, and that parent now has 10 business days to apply or to accept or reject that offer. So it's important, right, that they know that to act promptly upon receiving any type of notification. And once again, to remind them that if they accept one, that doesn't mean that they're not going to have availability to accept when they're, if they get another offer, right?
Right, exactly. And I know we see this a lot, maybe at the initial round of offers, where families are like, yeah, that wasn't really my top choice. So they don't even bother going in or accepting or rejecting. But you want to at least secure a spot. And then we know waitlist moves. So you'll probably get an offer somewhere that you may prefer, right? But definitely important for them to get in there and accept as soon as they receive an offer.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about, let's say that a parent accepted an offer during our regular magnet application cycle, which is from October 1st through January 15th. They receive it at their offers in March and they accept. Great. Can they apply for open seat magnet application?
Absolutely.
Right? So it's important for parents to know that they still have availability. One, if you did not meet that first cycle and, it passed you and now you have availability to apply. But even if you accepted a seat in the first cycle, you can still apply to the open seat magnet application if that is a program that your child is really interested in.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And like you said, there's always, availability or opportunity to do that. It could be that maybe you decided that now I saw this new Space Hub program that's opening and my child's really into aerospace, or I just got a new job and it's not going to be feasible for me to go to the school that I accepted. Let me go in there and see what's available. And with that, I actually wanted to say something. I know in the community in general, there's schools that just stand out. There's schools that are well known, that
very competitive.
Yes, very competitive to get into. Everybody wants to get their child in there. They have, good word of mouth. And so people are just excited about that possibility. And sometimes I feel like families get stuck in wanting so bad to go to this school. But the reality is that we have so many great options.
Amazing.
So many of our schools are award-winning magnet programs. Magnet schools.
Only this year, right? In 2024, 25, 91.
Yes.
Merit designation, national recognized magnet program. So there is a program for everybody. And you're absolutely right. Yes, we do have preferences as parents, right? You and I are both parents. Yeah. We all have preferences, but at the same time, I think you need to broaden, and really take the opportunity to log into our webpage and really visit our webpage and look into the different options. We have 11 magnet themes. Right. Almost 400 magnet programs, district-wide. So we do have an option for everyone.
Yeah. And I have to say, my son, he's entering kindergarten, and I obviously know of the schools, and there's the schools that are popular. And I think something that I've learned going through this process is it's not so much what I hear and what people recommend, right? Because I know my child and I know his personality, and I'm like, you know what? This is going to be a better fit for him, regardless if people tell me this is more of a rigorous program, this is a little bit better for this advancement or that. I just know him and I know where he's going to succeed. And that's what I want at the end of the day. So I made the choice it's a great school, but I made the choice because it has to be what fits for him as well.
Exactly.
And not just what other people are saying.
Absolutely. And, we rely so much on what others' perception is, but we don't really see or have our own perception unless we actually dig deep and go investigate and see how my child is truly going to fit into this school. Yeah. Which is exactly what you're saying, that you've had the opportunity to go through. And as parents, we all go through that because we want the best for our child, but we want the best fit.
Absolutely.
For our child.
And so I bring that up just because, again, with this open seats and knowing that not every school is going to be available and not every grade level, to really take into account, well, then what is available. And families, when they go into that magnet application, that's giving them real-time data. So it's, even if we had a list on our website that says these are open seats, it's constantly changing based on whether they fill the seats or whether they decide they want to open more seats. So families, really, we encourage you to get on that website, go to dadeschools.net, go into that parent portal, go into that application, and there, once you input the grade level, your address, not that your address you're not bound by address, but it'll display schools available based on distance.
Closest to your home.
Right, based on
Right.
the distance.
I also want to say that it's a little bit different because in our open seat magnet application, now the parents have 10 available options. So in our regular cycle, it's only 5. In the open seat, they can select up to 10. So it's a great opportunity for parents to, cast that open net, right, to many amazing programs and see which one best fits their specific child.
For sure. And I know we're running out of time, but I did want to touch on eligibility because we
Okay.
get that question. How is this application different than the regular? The difference with open seats is obviously that it's schools that have seats available, but eligibility criteria still apply. Now that's different from a choice program, right? Choice doesn't have eligibility. That's strictly based on whether the school has space. But our magnet programs do have eligibility criteria, and it varies from program to program. From programs that don't have eligibility,
interest-based,
Yeah.
and those that have. And the parents have to do that research, right? And what better way to get that information that's straight from the application tells you,
Yeah.
but also our webpage also says that as well. So we want to, I think this is a great conversation that we've had. And, we've brought clarity and transparency to the application process for our parents. So thank you for joining me
Of course.
in this amazing conversation. I want to take an opportunity to thank Miami Community News for providing us this platform to bring our magnet stories to you, our viewers and our listeners. I want to recommend and encourage our parents, our listeners and our viewers to really go into our miamimagnets.org webpage. There you will see the amazing new programs that are opening their doors in August 2025. Learn about them. There are varied themed programs that are available at this present moment for you to apply. Don't hesitate to accept a seat. There's always room to accept your next offer. And thank you for this opportunity and for taking an opportunity and a time to listen to us. Stay drawn to what inspires you, and we'll see you next time on the Magnet Pool.